item is 7B. It's going to be the overview of 2024 Comprehensive Plan Transportation Element, and that is presented by Vicki Grover.
Welcome, Ms. Grover. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, City Council and the public. I would like to talk tonight about the planning documents and the work accomplished to date and the next steps in our approval process for these updated planning documents. So to date, we've been working to update 2 planning documents at the same time. These plans are the transportation element of the comprehensive plan, which was last updated and adopted in 2016, which was the last comprehensive planning cycle. The active transportation plan, previously known as the non-motorized transportation plan, was the city's first active transportation plan and was created and adopted in 2007. So a reminder to everyone that the comprehensive plan update is a requirement of the Growth Management Act. The purpose of the update is to show how the city plans to meet the projected population and employment growth for Bremerton over the next 20 years. Due to the interrelated content of these 2 planning documents, the city decided it would be beneficial to update the plans together. And this is due to a number of considerations, and I'll review just a couple of these. There are some areas of the transportation element required by the Growth Management Act and Puget Sound Regional Council to address multimodal infrastructure planning and future improvements. So there's obvious and necessary coordination between these 2 plans. Updating these 2 plans concurrently also has allowed us to closely coordinate the effort, which included a shared public engagement process. So again, one of the new GMA requirements is a concurrency assessment of multimodal level of service, which includes all users of the transportation system. This means that in addition to the current requirement for us to assess concurrency for vehicular level of service, we will now need to do a concurrency assessment for development projects to determine what infrastructure will need to be provided for pedestrians, transit, and cyclists. This is to be accomplished by reviewing development proposal as they come into the city through the concurrency management system, again required for all transportation modes. Next slide, Dave. We conducted an introductory survey starting in January 19th through February 15th of last year. There were 23 multiple choice questions developed in conjunction with city staff and a professional public outreach company from Seattle. The initial survey had 3 goals. We wanted to understand current travel behavior. We wanted to learn about the public's perception of barriers and to learn about opportunities for other modes of transportation, and to ask the public to help identify options to improve Bremerton's transportation system. We received a total of 605 responses, and we received some really good feedback from the community. One of our methods for public outreach was a postcard, which turned out to be the most effective recruitment tool for our survey, with more than half of our respondents accessing the survey due to receiving the postcard. Over a quarter of the respondents to the survey were recruited through the Bremerton website. So listed on this slide are some of the findings from that survey. The survey document result is still available for public viewing on bremerton2044.com, and it's towards the bottom of the page. Next slide, Dave. We also did an interactive map, was presented for public comment to help us update the bike and pedestrian networks. This engagement was available to the public from August 19th through September 8th also of last year. The map was GIS based and it would allow people to draw lines or place circles on locations within the city, and then they could write a comment related to that line or circle that was placed on the map. And the goal of this outreach with the public was to have them tell us where, using the map, they would like to see future improvements for multimodal transportation. Comments were received and considered for updates to both the bike and pedestrian networks. The networks play an important role in determining where the city will focus on investing in active transportation programs and active transportation facilities as part of project development. We also received a pretty good response from the public during this 3-week engagement. We received 225 comments on the map, 8 emails and letters from the public. 36% of the comments requested new facilities or raised concerns about existing facilities along one of the network corridors. 68% of the feedback focused on the bike priority network, reflecting a strong desire for enhanced bicycling infrastructure. There were comments received regarding an addition and elimination of some of the bike corridors originally proposed on the bike network. As an example, we heard that the 4th Street corridor was preferred to the 5th Street and 6th Street corridors, and that we needed to extend the bike network north of the Warren Avenue Bridge, and that respondents preferred a separated bike connection instead of the proposed route along the off-ramp, which was Clare Avenue, that is shared with cars. Preference was heard to extend the bike network along Burwell to the west of State Route 304 Callow Avenue. The pedestrian network also received strong comments related to the need for safe crossings along corridors such as 4th Street, 6th Street, and 11th Street. On this slide, we can see the comments from the public that were made. Those are the lines and the dots that are shown. And so these are the comments received during the summer comment period. There are 2 topics related to this interactive map and the active transportation plan and the priority networks that I would like to clarify. First, what we meant when we were calling them either high or medium priority maps, lines on the maps, was to represent for the bike different from the bike network from the pedestrian network. So high priority, we had intended for those corridors to be more of a direct route to key destinations such as transit and public services. Well, the medium priority were intended to represent the more recreational routes or corridors. But based on the comments received from the public, I believe that there's confusion regarding the meaning and the difference between these labels. And I believe that with that kind of confusion, that there's a possibility that maybe we just eliminate the difference between high and medium. Because again, the lines, the proposed networks are to help us in the future to develop projects. All the public comments that we received on the priority networks were carefully considered as part of the process and to provide revisions to the bike and pedestrian priority networks that are currently included in the active transportation plan. Next slide, Dave. So again, we placed 2 draft planning documents on Bremerton2044.com for review and comment. While this comment period has closed, the draft documents remain online for public viewing. We are currently reviewing and considering the public comments we've received. A summary of those draft documents online are the draft active transportation plan, which has 4 attachments, and the draft technical appendices that support the transportation element of the comprehensive plan. It has a summary document and 6 attachments. And again, those are still available online. We are still taking comments. You can email me directly. We have the comp plan at the Bremerton email address on Bremerton 2044. So there's still opportunity for comments. Next slide, Dave. So the technical appendices that are produced to support the transportation element include an assessment of our existing transportation system for vehicles, freight, transit, and active transportation facilities. We must assess our existing system for future needs. Future, as defined by the Growth Management Act, includes a near-term planning horizon of 6 years and a long-term planning horizon of 20 years. We use the projected population and employment data provided by Puget Sound Regional Council to evaluate where the transportation system will need future improvements to accommodate this growth. This included in our project list are concurrency projects. Concurrency is a requirement of GMA, and what it does is it ensures that public facilities are adequate to support private development projects without decreasing service levels below established standards. We evaluate intersections in the city to determine if we currently have any intersections operating below our adopted level of service standard, and then we look at the near or the 6 year, and then we look at the long-term planning horizon or 20-year. We are also required to develop a financial plan to show how the city will pay for these future system improvements, and this includes a reassessment strategy in the event of a funding shortfall in our financial plan. Next slide, Dave. This slide here is a map of the 6 and 20-year projects from the capital improvement plan. I've had some questions about what these these lines and dots represent. The project list was included as online with the draft documents, and every project on the CIP is included and shown as a line or a spot or intersection improvement on this map. So this includes our concurrency projects as well, and you'll see that some of the lines are shown outside city limits. That's with coordination of Kitsap County future projects that we show some of those lines. Anyone has questions for this map, please reach out to me and I will be able to answer those for you, or at the end of this presentation. Next slide, Dave. The update of the 2007 non-motorized plan is also being done. We are focusing on updating the network within the city for cyclists and pedestrians. Some of the revisions to the network include consideration for getting to local destinations, schools, transit services, public services, and parks when we looked at and considered these proposed or future corridors. In addition to consideration for recreational uses for both pedestrians and bicycles. We would like to promote alternative travel options for the citizens of Bremerton and to encourage healthy lifestyles and reduce our vehicular traffic. Slide, Dave. So this is a slide where we wanted to communicate with council a message that we heard when we went to Planning Commission on January 27th. Planning Commission had made a recommendation that we finish the update to the transportation element and the appendices associated with the element that are needed for the comprehensive plan, and that we pick up the active transportation plan after the comp plan has made it through its process. What we've heard is we would like more time for the public to engage. We would like to focus solely on this plan and really put together a good plan that the public feels that they haven't had enough opportunity to be involved in comment. And so we, Public Works, we support the idea for moving forward in this manner. Wanted to share this with council. And then eventually, once we decide if that's the route we're going to take, we would need to look for budget and a timeline for moving the active transportation plan forward. Next slide, Dave. This slide is just some key dates from 2023 through January of this year. These are dates when the public was engaged for comments. Some of the events I listed at the bottom of this slide is when staff attended various Friday night art walks, parades, to let the public know that we were updating these plans and how they could give us comments about Bremerton2044.com, etc. Next slide, Dave. Now this is just, this shows a graphical schedule for the adoption process of the comprehensive plan moving forward. And as you can see, here we are in February, City Council comprehensive plan update, with our goal and deadline being send it off to PSRC no later than May of this year. They're looking at about a 6-month turnaround time for certification. Next slide, Dave. And then this is just really just the dates from that graphical schedule shown on the previous slide. So the public can comment, has any comments received tonight can do in person, which we would really appreciate. They can do public comments in person again at Planning Commission on April 21st. And as I mentioned before, they can still reach out to me directly. They can go through the comp plan email site on Bremerton2044.com. And just remember, everyone, that we must send the city's complete comp plan to PSRC for certification, what allows the city to continue to seek transportation grant funding. Thank you very much, and I will take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Grover. Again, information-only items, so the council will not be commenting tonight. However, we will be accepting public comment, so does any member of the public wish to comment on this item?
Hi, my name is Alden. I remember that active transportation postcard I got in the mail. And something bothers me about it, which is that it was only in English. And my concern with that is I know about 20%, 1 in 5 households in Kitsap County, English is not their primary language. I don't have numbers for Bremerton just because the census doesn't publish them, but I'm guessing they're higher. Typically, it's higher in cities. And that's a concern particularly here because people who don't speak English are not distributed homogeneously throughout the city, and they'll be in little pockets, little neighborhoods. And my concern is that if we're not soliciting feedback from those Bremerton residents, then we're kind of doing redlining by proxy. I don't know how to go back and fix that. I mean, we've already done that survey. Kind of think if we had a DEI manager by now, that's the sort of thing that they really could have identified before it became an issue. But I would like us to do something to make sure that we're not excluding any particular segment of Bremerton's population from participating in this type of survey. Yeah, I'm open to your ideas, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. Comments were noted. Anyone else for public comment? We don't have anyone else on Zoom. Mr. Sorensen just confirmed. So with that, I'll close public comment.